What's up, viewers? In this video, we're going to talk about the weather package offered to select Toyota RAV4 models. My experience in having this conversation comes from driving a 2020 Toyota RAV4 Adventure for about 23,000 miles, spanning across 21 months. So if you're in the market for a new or used 5th generation Toyota RAV4 and you're not sure about getting the weather package, stick around. The 5th generation Toyota RAV4, which started in 2019, come in many different trim levels, and each trim level has its own tweak to the weather package. So whatever I'm discussing comes from my experience with the Adventure trim level. However, the items in this package also do apply to many of the other trim levels within the Toyota RAV4 family. There are 6 main things that we'll cover in the weather package, which include the heated steering wheel, the de-icer function, the rain sensor wipes, heated and ventilated front seats, and heated rear seats. The first feature we'll talk about is the de-icer function, which basically has heated strips along the very lower portion of your windshield, just below the wiper blades. When you press a button on the driver's side, you activate those heated strips, which would then melt the ice or snow that build up and free up your windshield wipers. So if you're in a region that doesn't have ice or snow, this feature is not going to be useful for you, but it is included part of the weather package. The heated strip is very similar to what's in the rear of your RAV4, so it does help with removing the condensations in the morning. It's very useful for me out here in Cincinnati in the winter season. The only downside with this is that the feature does not have a memory, meaning when I turn it on and then I turn off my RAV4, I cannot remotely start my RAV4 and have that feature on. I would have to go back into the car and press the button to turn it on again. It would have been nice if it was all included. That way my RAV4 will be completely ready to go in the mornings. The next feature we'll talk about is the rain sensor wipers. There is a sensor up over here where your rear view mirror is. And this sensor, when it detects rain, it kind of just activates the windshield wipers. There, you can turn it on through the knob along your steering wheel and adjust the sensitivity by rotating it multiple turns. And it's a very useful feature. It's one of those things that you just turn it on, you set it and forget it. I've had no issues with it. My front windshield is also tinted, so that has never had an impact on the sensitivity of the windshield wiper feature as well. So it's a good feature to have, and I'm pretty sure it rains in most regions, so it's pretty good to have part of the package. The next feature is the heated steering wheel, which is pretty straightforward. You press a button along the driver's side, and the steering wheel starts heating up. It gets comfortably warm. I don't feel like burning my hands or anything. And it has a memory feature, which I do like, meaning that when I turn it on and then I turn off my vehicle, the next time I go to turn on the vehicle, it is still on. So you can remotely start your RAV4 and have your wheel warm for you when you go back inside. The only downside I'd say with this is that not all of the wheel is heated. I think maybe 60%. I like to drive with my hand on the top, and that portion is not heated. Mostly the sides on the 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock positions are where it's heated. Depending on how you are comparing the trim levels in the RAV4 family, you will start off with a plastic steering wheel, and when you have heated steering wheels, you're going to get the fake leather wrapped steering wheel, which is a nice little comfort feature as well. I would say it takes about a minute to feel that warmth on your hand from when you start it, so it's really good to have that memory feature so it's ready to go when you start your car. The next feature we'll talk about is the heated front seats. This was a required feature that I wanted in my RAV4, which is why I had to get to the weather package. I shopped around multiple dealerships and found, the one that had it and took it. Heated front seats, it's a very straightforward feature. You press a button and you get heated seats. How it's done in the RAV4 is different depending on the trim level, so you'll need to double check that. For the RAV4 Adventure, just under the climate controls is a red button. You press that and it cycles through 3 different heat settings: high, medium, low, and off. If I were to do a blind test without knowing what setting it was, I would say I'd probably notice 2 different settings, a high and a low. That medium, it's sort of a gimmick, let's say. If you're going to use the heated seats, chances are it's cold and you're layering up, so your sensitivity to the heated seats are going to vary a lot from person to person. So It's a very nice feature to have. Just 3 settings for the RAV4 is a bit too much, let's say. The other nice thing about this is it has memory. So you set your heat level, you turn off your RAV4, the next time you go to turn it on, or if you remotely start it, your seats will be in the same setting. So it's good to have when you're remotely starting. That way you come into your vehicle and you have warm seats. The next feature we'll talk about is ventilated front seats. I got asked a lot of questions about this, which is why I'm making this video. And ventilated front seats was a requirement in my purchase, so it was nice that it was part of the weather package. Ventilated front seats is basically just that, ventilated front seats. There is no active cooling, there is no AC unit, it's just fans that are blowing air under your butt. And it's blowing whatever air is in the cabin. So if your car is parked under the sun, you enter the vehicle, the cabin air is hot, you press the ventilated front seat button, you're going to get warm air under your butt. That's until you have your AC unit running and sort of cooling that cabin air. Then you will start noticing cold air blowing under your thighs in your lower area. So it's highly dependent on the cabin temperature and also what you are wearing. If you're wearing clothing that doesn't allow air to blow through, you're not going to feel it so much. And if your clothing is more porous, you might have a more cooling effect. It is not actively cooled seating. There's no AC. There's just a fan somewhere in the RAV4 that I never investigated where it is. When you turn on the ventilated seats, you do hear a fan noise. So I do think it's not part of the cabin fan, which is located behind the glove box. It's just some other fan probably built into the seat. Depending on the trim level you have, turning on the ventilated seats might vary or might change. For the Adventure, right on the climate controls where I activated the heated seats is the same button in blue to activate the ventilated seats, cycling through a high, medium, low, and off setting. The feature also has memory, so whatever setting you set before you turn off your car, it's going to be activated again when you turn it on. It's very nice to have. And when you go to a ventilated seats, you end up having a sort of perforated seat. So it's a seat with a lot of holes in it to allow that airflow to go through. So if you're not a fan of having a bunch of holes in your seat, okay, maybe it's not for you, but it's really not a big deal. The only downside I would say is if you have somebody who eats in the car and they start dropping crumbs, you're gonna have buildup in those holes. So you'll need to like smack it and then vacuum whatever jumps out of there to kind of clean all those holes up. The only downside and feature that I hate about ventilated and heated seats is the light color they use to tell you if it's heating or ventilating. If you're barely red-green colorblind like myself, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. So you have to press the buttons and cycle through to the setting you want because the colors are not good enough to tell you what it is. I really wish they went with a red and blue, but they went with a red and yellow or green. I don't even know. So it's not really useful for us. For the ventilated seats, it's really weird because I actually feel you get a vacuum pulled on your seat, not air blown up towards your bottom. So the air in the cabin is being pulled from the top of your legs into the seat and then exhausted out under the seat. And I think that's the case because when I was putting a bag over the seat, it wasn't sort of floating in the air when I had the fan on the highest setting. It was actually being pulled into it. And the only way that's possible is the motor is installed backwards, or that's how it's supposed to work by design. If I put this on the seat, it kind of gets sucked into it. So I don't think the air actually blows up, it blows into the seat. Very interesting. The last main feature to cover is the rear heated seats. This is not included in the Adventure trim level. I don't even care about it because I don't sit in the back when I'm driving this car, obviously. But if you have, I believe, the limited trim level, you have rear heated seats that are closest to the window, not to the center seat. And I believe it's pretty straightforward. It's either on off or there's a high and low feature, and you either activate it with a switch on the door or behind the armrest, center armrest, somewhere over here where the vents are. Another comment, and this depends on how you shop your trim level for your RAV4. If you are looking at the XLE and going to an XLE Premium, you're going to also get 8-way powered seats. The XLE base model, let's say, Doesn't have powered functionality of the seat. You have like a manual lever on the side and on the front. So going to an XLE Premium with a weather package will get you powered seats that you can, adjust along the door side. Again, I am absolutely not certain of this. I'm going based off of the website description, so you'll need to do your own research and your own test driving when you're shopping for a RAV4. I believe that is everything you need to know about the weather package offered to the 5th generation Toyota RAV4 family. If you have any questions, go consult your dealership or the online Toyota websites. It's very, very helpful. You can leave questions in the comment section or shoot me an email and I will try to cover it. Again, my experience is based on 23,000 miles of driving the Adventure, so I don't know how it is for the lower or upper trim levels of the RAV4 family. I guess that's it, and I will see you in the next one.